Hello, welcome back to A Boring Revolution, your number one news source for everything in regards to The Boring Company. Welcome everyone, hope you're staying well. It is time for our quarterly review. This is Q1 2020. So we're going to have a look at all the projects that are currently being proposed, that are currently in the planning process, that are currently basically on the drawing board, and some of them are just going to stay on the drawing board because they are absolutely insane. But hey, we're going to look at all the possible opportunities. We're then going to look at the project that's under construction at the moment, which is the Las Vegas Loop for the Las Vegas Convention Center, also known as the campus-wide people mover. So let's start off with all the projects that we currently have on the list. What have we got? So, first of all, we have got the Chicago Express Loop. Now, as you're aware, this project was the number one project for the Boring Company at one point. This was the one that I was very, very excited about because it's a nice long tunnel, big opportunity to use a piece of infrastructure that had been mothballed. They had this underground station that they'd already built that was essentially derelict, and they were going to utilize that, and we're going to connect up the airport. We'd have a nice long straight run, so we'd be able to get pods up to close to possibly even 155 miles per hour, something very close to that. So this was seen as really kind of the leading project that the Boring Company was pushing, and everything about it made sense to me. I was really excited by it. Then we had a change of mayor. We had Mayor Lightfoot come in. She really did not like this project. She did not like the idea of not spending money on rail. She was very much a traditionalist, as it were, did not like taking risks. The project is basically on permanent hold. I have very, very small probability that this project is going to be completed. We're looking around 14% probability of completion. Mayor Lightfoot is in a whole lot of trouble though. She recently went out and got her haircut during the quarantine, totally breaking the quarantine rules. When she was found out, she said that she's a public official, so she needs to get a haircut. But we're all stuck in our homes, and you need to follow the rules. So that has been very disappointing to see. She doesn't support the project. I don't think it's going to happen. Now, the Las Vegas Convention Center Loop has progressed very nicely. Over the last 4 months, I have been incredibly impressed. I think it was a very bumpy start to the project. It was very slow going. Then suddenly we went from second gear all the way up to sixth gear. We really started accelerating. A lot of work on site. A lot of things to talk about, which we'll do in a little while. And obviously this is definitely going to be completed. Is it going to be finished before the 29th of December? I think it will. I think it will be finished before Christmas. We'll have to wait and see, but things are looking very, very good. So, another project that I really like. Really like this one because I think it's a good practical project. There's a good use case for it. The officials that are pushing it are really sort of keen on it. It's nearby to the Boring Company headquarters in California, and I think it's a guaranteed money earner if they're charging $6 to $7 per passenger per journey. So $90 million, just over 4 miles, involves linking the main airport in San Jose to the local train station, which is just over 2 miles away. So we have 2 tunnels at just over 2 miles. What do I think is the probability that this project will be completed at this present time, because it's not been talked about really? I'd say about 28%. However, I would say that it's a project that has a really good use case, and I don't think it's going to disappear into the background forever. I think that at some point it's going to pop back up again. They're going to relook at the Boring Company technology. If they can do what they say they can do, and I'm pretty confident they will, then they will hopefully offer them a contract. The next project we're looking at is one that we have completed. This was the Essential Test Tunnel, proving the concept of this technology. That was completed. Total cost was probably just over $10 million, but as far as we're aware, it cost approximately $10 million for 1.14 miles of tunnel. Dugout Loop, another great project that I think definitely has a very good use case, linking the local metro station stop to the baseball stadium. $53 million. I think this is a good probability of completion. 32%. Again, this has disappeared into the background. They are essentially waiting on the Boring Company to prove they can do what they said they're going to do. Proof work is being developed. We're developing various systems of building tunnels. The underpass system that we're developing is definitely a game changer. It's going to make projects like this very easy to construct without the need for reception shafts and for launch pits. So that would be a very useful piece of technology. I'm hopeful we will hear something more in regards to the Dugout Loop in the next 9 to 12 months. Personally, my favourite project that potentially could happen, Baltimore, Washington, DC Loop. It's worth over $1 billion. 72.4 miles, potentially over 6,000 passengers per hour. I think they could easily beat that, really. That's just an initial proposal. 75% of completion at this moment in time. Obviously, with things that are happening, it's going to get delayed further, but that should be built, and it should be built fairly quickly. It's a beautiful straight route, and it's linking two big cities, so you can't really go wrong. And there's the potential to extend that up towards Jersey if necessary. Now, the new project on the list. I have been requested to add this project because Elon Musk has talked about it. Other people on YouTube have done videos on a potential Fremont supply tunnel linking the seat manufacturer to the Fremont factory. There's a distance of approximately just over 1 mile if you include curves. So I have done a basic estimate for this project. It has been mentioned by Elon Musk. Just based on what I know about how the Boring Company operates and in terms of the kind of prices that they are putting out there for constructing a tunnel of this length. Nice, simple tunnel. I've gone for 2 tunnels, a dual tunnel system. That would allow them to move more seats into the factory, but that could obviously be altered as well. So it's 2.18 miles. Cost per mile is $9.5 million. They will use the proof rock machine, hence why the cost per mile is a lot less. Throughput of 7,000 seats per hour. That's seats, not passengers. Obviously, that will be closed down during non-operational hours. Probability of completion, I'd say around 62%. Even if it doesn't get built next year, it's definitely there in the pipeline for the Boring Company and Tesla to consider. And then we come to our, what I would consider the reject projects. The really kind of just rumour projects, the projects that were thrown out by people who had no intention of ever funding them or being serious about building these projects. So we have the Blue Mountain crossing in Sydney. It makes absolutely very little sense. If you look at where it's going, it's essentially linking an area with no people to an area with lots of people, which is never really going to work feasibly. 61.85 miles. It's conceptual, 5,000 passengers per hour. What is the probability of this project being completed? 0.01%. Even less probability is when the Israeli government, Benjamin Netanyahu, proposed this project. They didn't even name a city or where it would link or how long it would be or how much it would cost. Elon Musk mentioned it on Twitter. I think it is just basically talk. There is no intention of Israel building such a project. So again, 0.01%. Another project that's kind of on the back burner that potentially could happen but has not really been approved is this particle accelerator, the CERN particle accelerator. Now, they already have a particle accelerator, but the one they're proposing would be about 4 to 5 times bigger than the one they currently have, if not more. It would be a huge circular tunnel, 100 kilometers in total. It would be an absolute beast of a tunnel. That would be a beautiful project to work on, but because there's not really the funding being made available for this, and it looks like things are not really going to be looked at for at least the next 2 to 3 years, I've put this down as a conceptual project, and I anticipate that the probability of that being completed is 10%, if 10%. In fact, I'm actually going to change that right now. Let's go for 7.5. So round that up to 8%. Okay, so all very interesting talking about that, but why are we here today is to talk about the main project that's underway at the moment. The one that is going to either make or break the Boring Company. The one that certain critics on YouTube are not talking about. Why are they not talking about this? Because they know perfectly well that if this project is a success, if this project beats its target of moving 4,600 people per hour, this is going to be a real game changer in terms of public and mass transit. If they can build this project for how much they're currently suggesting they are going to pay for this project, just over $50 million, then potentially we could end up with a very, very large tunnel network in Las Vegas. That Las Vegas tunnel network could expand exponentially across the city. We could end up with a situation where basically it doesn't make any sense to use the surface roads if you want to get somewhere quickly, and therefore we could take over the entire city. But at the moment, this is proof of concept. This is revision 0.1 of the Boring Company's tunnel system. It's going to change drastically from what's being proposed here, but this gives a good outline of what we can achieve with the basic technology that we're using at the moment. So, what has actually been completed? So, as you can see, we have completed Tunnel A. I believe it was the 14th or the 15th of February. I think it was the 14th of February. We completed, the Boring Company completed the project for Tunnel A. It came out of the reception shaft at where Station 3 is going to be located. So 100% complete on Tunnel A. Tunnel B is under construction. I have very little information in regards to where Tunnel B is at this present day. So as of today, I don't exactly know where the TBM is underground. However, I do occasionally get snippets of information from people who work indirectly for the Boring Company, and they've been telling me, oh, it's doing 15 meters per day. Oh, it had a really good day. It did 16.2 meters. There's been a couple of days where they've not done so great. It's been around 12.8 meters. So they do reasonably well. They're doing better than they did on Tunnel A in terms of at the start, but they're certainly accelerating the progress of the tunnel. All I know is that in the last 2 weeks of March, they completed 140 meters or 459 foot. So in that 2 week period, they managed to complete, it was just under 2 weeks actually. They managed to, in fact, it was a lot under 2 weeks. I think they started on the 20th of March, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I think they started actually boring Tunnel B on the 20th of March. So during that time, they've completed 10.5% of the tunnel. I anticipate that this is guesswork, by the way, based on what people are telling me, because I don't know the numbers for every day, but I do know occasional days when they've done particularly well. So based on what people have been telling me, I think they did 210 meters in the first week of April, and then 240 meters in the second week of April. So I anticipate at the moment, because we're in the beginning of May, that we are around 33 or a third. We're at least a third complete, maybe slightly more than that. My prediction is it will be somewhere around here. Beginning of June and middle of July is going to be when we start to hear about them getting close to the finish line. I'm not entirely sure on the exact date it will finish, because Obviously, circumstances change. They may hit some poor ground, but they're definitely making better progress on Tunnel B than Tunnel A. They have learned some very hard lessons from Tunnel A. They have adapted the machine. They have added new components to the machine. They have changed the cutter head to a slight degree, and that has allowed them to make better progress per day. Also, the supply chain of precast concrete segments is continuing to roll into the shaft there. They have a nice big supply of prefabricated concrete segments, so there's nothing really holding them back from finishing in July. When they finish in July, not entirely sure. It will definitely be before the end of July. It'll be before the 30th of July, I'd imagine. Well before that. Anyway, so what else have we learned? So there has been progress on Station 1. So Station 1 is essentially going to be a ramp with a surface station, like Station 3. That is where the launch pit is. That will be converted into a series of ramps linking to the tunnels. They'll also have a station on the surface with protection from the sunlight, so some kind of canopy system. I'd say we're around 11% completion as of today. Station 2 has recently started over the last 2.5 weeks. That is going to be a very deep excavation. They've started sheet piling in that area. They've excavated, the initial excavations have been completed to below the levels that they need to start the piling work. That is excellent. There seems to be a lot of bodies on site there. Good news. I'm expecting sheet piling to be conducted over the next 3 to 4 weeks. That will be completed. In addition, they're going to install various ring beams, and then they're going to excavate down to reveal the where the tunnels are, and then they can remove the tunnel lining to expose the road deck, and that I imagine will take place in the last week of June. Well, let's say July. It'll take place sometime in July, early to late July. Station 3, again, excellent progress on Station 3. They have begun the process of constructing the ramp for Tunnel A. That ramp is quite a sharp ramp actually. It's about a 1 in 4 gradient, and that goes down about 40 foot, nearly 40 foot. That is being constructed right now. They're making excellent progress on that. Once Tunnel B is finished, they will then add another ramp, and they will begin building the structure on the surface, which will form Station 3. I'm imagining that will be a steel frame, and that it shouldn't take that long to construct. It's fairly simple. I'm imagining they will be finishing that late July towards the middle of August. So all in all, very good progress. In terms of what I'm thinking in terms of project performance, I'm giving it a B+. I think this potentially could be an A. They potentially could finish in the last week of October. I'm fairly confident that they're getting close to that. They're working towards that. So in that case, I would give them an A rating. Finish on time probability is at least 92%. In fact, I'd probably go to say that's more like 94% now. So I've changed that. The next most important thing is the vehicle calibration test. So that involves getting your vehicles and then testing them in the system, empty vehicles, running them on autopilot or potentially with drivers to begin with, and establishing if they can meet the capacity that you need. So basically they get paid if they can achieve, the Boeing company get paid if they can achieve 2,200 passengers per hour. So I'm anticipating that they will start to run tests in the last 2 weeks of October for 2,200. They will then begin running tests for the 3,400 per hour. So I'm imagining that they will just add a dozen more vehicles and then slowly over time increase that, maybe an extra vehicle per day. and see how close they can run those vehicles together. They possibly might need volunteers for this stage because they'll need to filter people into the pods to get an understanding of how people actually get into the pods, how quickly they do that, and then how close they can run the vehicles together. The final stage, which I anticipate will take place in the last 2 weeks of November, will involve them getting up to 4,600 passengers per hour. Now, to do that, they will probably need a whole lot of vehicles. Probably close to 100 vehicles, something getting on 100 vehicles. It depends what they intend to use as the vehicles. If they're going to take a Model X and adapt it so it can seat 12, 14, 16 people, then great, they won't need as many vehicles. If they intend to use the actual Model X in its current configuration as a 7-seater vehicle, I think they possibly need 100, up to 100 vehicles, if not slightly more. Probably slightly more, actually. I think that will happen towards the end of November. I'm fairly confident they will achieve that, though. Very confident, actually. So, overall summary, Las Vegas project is working beautifully. It is going to finish on time based on what I've been witnessing, what people have been telling me, based on the pictures that I have seen. All the critics are going to be shut the hell up when we do that. When we hit 4,600 passengers per hour, and we do that in the last 2 weeks of November, a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of these warriors on Twitter are going to go very quiet. And the reason they're going to go quiet is they know that they've lost. They've had their SpaceX moment. They were those NASA engineers saying that you can't build a rocket that can land itself. Don't be silly, Elon Musk. That's never going to happen. You are a crank. Your rocket company's going to go bankrupt. Where are these people now? They have gone away, disappeared. They've either gone bankrupt or they have retired or they have disappeared into the abyss, ashamed of what they said because they were so badly wrong. And that's going to be our glory day, that last day in November when they meet that target. So overall, very, very happy, guys. Everything seems to be working as per the program, as was predicted originally. So I just want to thank all my Patreons who continue to support the channel. I also want to thank everyone that watches this channel on a regular basis. I really appreciate your support. Please hit the thumbs up icon, and if you've not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. Please join our Discord channel. Please join our Instagram or our Facebook, and consider supporting us on Patreon if you've not already done so. And that's it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. Have a great day. And remember, don't be boring, guys. That's the end of the episode. And my favourite of all time. Oh, it's not working. Here we go. Yeah. We got sound effects, baby. Oh, yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. And have a great day. Remember, stay safe.